let's get this one chucked out. Woohoo, we're on the fish. First double shot of the day. My shelter is no longer upright. So we're going for a bit of DIY on the beach. The shelter is back. Not the biggest flounder in the world, but still lovely to see. I'll just give him a measure. Fish number 11. Well, good morning. You join me again for another Plaice session on the Sussex coast. I came down a few days ago, which would have been the video I previously put up, the one before this one, and bagged up on Plaice. It's a little bit more cloudy today, but the sea is still absolutely beautiful and calm. So I've got high hopes we're going to be in for another good session. So let's take a look at what bait I've got today. So the bait in my cool box. I've actually got quite a lot of bait with me today because I'm down here for 2 days. That'll probably be put up as 2 different videos depending on how it goes. I've got 3 wraps here of lovely fresh black lug. I've started 1 wrap already because I've already cast out, so it's 40 lug in total. Underneath the lug we have some frozen razors and just a few mussels to have a try with. But I'm going to try a fresh lug and just the straight worm to start off with there. Right, let's get these back in the cool box. Cover that up. Pop the lug back on top. And in here I have with me some really decent, beautiful, fresh rag. Oh, dead one there, pick that out. So there we go, nice and wriggly, very alive, and hopefully we'll be picking up the Plaice. I'm guessing the worm baits are going to do best, but the razors and the mussels might bring us something along as well. So 4 different baits to try today, and we're going to get these whacked out, see if we can pick the Plaice up. Next up, take a look at the rigs. The Plaice are going to be feeding, I can feel it in my bones. So rigs for the day. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know normally I like to use maybe 3 different kind of rigs and see what's working on the day. But today my plan of attack is actually to focus on using loop rigs because that's what worked really well down here a few days ago. If it turns out not to be working today, of course I'll mix it up later and stick something else out. But here I've got a loop rig. This one's actually got 2-foot snoods. And if I can just get hold of the business end here, the bottom snood, we have 1 little pop-up on there, and then my usual for a loop rig, mini snood clip and a cascade swivel, along of course with the usual bait stop. And at the top end of the rig we got the SRT spring there, put a bit of tension in that, and I've actually stuck 2 pop-ups on this one, so a bit more buoyancy on the top hook. That should help minimise tangles. And I'm going to use today, I've got 2 2-foot loop rigs, one with pop-ups, one without. The one without I've already cast out, and I've got 2 slightly shorter snood loop rigs with 18-inch snoods, again one with pop-ups and one without. So we're going to see how we get on with these rigs. If we start catching Plaice, that's great, I'm going to stick with them because it worked the other day. But if not, I've got some other rigs in the box and I'll go through those should I need to swap over to them later on. Anyway, let's get some bait on here and I'll get my second rod chucked out in a minute. So the top hook, I'm going to stick on some of these lovely lively rag. I'll just get a few out. I need to get a few out really, and so I don't have to keep going in the box to get them. Right, I'll get 3 of them, little cluster. Now while I'm baiting up, I will say my plan for the day, as well as primarily targeting the Plaice, I've brought with me my Banzai Multi Tip rod, just to see if there's any of the summer species turned up yet. It can be good down here later in the year for things like mullet and bream and, you know, all the kind of things you'd expect to turn up in the summer. But it's still a little bit early. I did hear a report though of bream being caught at the weekend a few days ago, so I thought, well, it might be worth a bash. So I'm not going to fish too long with that, just a little few chucks throughout the day, And I've got a few bream rigs made up with me just to see if we can hook into anything. So there we go, got my rag here ready to go on the top hook. Bit of space between the hook and the bait stop, so I've got space to slide that up, and there we go. That is good to go. So now I'm going to stick one of my fresh lug on the bottom. So we get our worm, give him a quick slap, trim the ends. This is really lovely and fresh, so I'm not going to need any elastic on here. Again, slide it on the baiting needle. I do that tail first. Oh, that is really lovely and tough, that worm. There we go. And we're going to find the bottom hook. Check the space between the bait stop and the hook. I've just slid that up a little bit. That should accommodate the worm. And we get this one slid on. Hold that nice and tight. And there we go, that's good to go. So I'm going to get my second rod chucked out, and then I'll get my shelter put up and I can relax into the day. And yeah, let's see how we get on. Let's get these baits launched to sea. Well, we're in it. Let's hope we're going to win it. Well guys, I've just had a bite. Well, I've left it a little bit because we're Plaice fishing, and that's on the right hand rod. In fact, both my lines have gone pretty slack, so I'm going to tighten up the left hand one and reel the right hand one in, see if we've got a fish. Just giving that a bit of tight line. That's better. So I've definitely had a bite on this one. Let's see if we got anything. Well, it feels a little bit light if I'm honest, but it has been out there a while, so it's good to get it in anyway. Get some fresh bait chucked out. We're about 2 hours before high water at the moment. I'm hoping I don't have to move back. And we'll find out soon enough how far up this tide's going to come. If I'm honest, I'd like to have been fishing a bit earlier, but I'm going to be fishing through till about 8 o'clock tonight. It's currently 10:30. So it's going to be quite a long day. And then tomorrow, depending on how we're feeling, maybe start fishing around first light up to lunchtime. But the wind is supposed to pick up tomorrow, so we'll see how conditions are. I've got Wayne, the shore hunter, with me today. He's driven all the way down from wherever he lives, somewhere between Cheshire and the Bristol Channel. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good session because it's been a long journey for him. There we are, right at the edge. But yes, we have one. Not the biggest, but it's a tiny Plaice, but nonetheless, it's what we came for. So that's a good start. So that little Plaice, that was on the bottom hook, which had the fresh lug on it. In fact, the top hook, which had the rag, was almost stripped clean. So definitely signs of activity out there. And that was the rig without the pop-ups on the snood. So this one now we're getting chucked out. This is my 18-inch loop rig, also without pop-ups. I can see that's just a little bit loose, so I'm going to adjust my rig gum stop, make that a little bit tighter. Let's get this one chucked out. Woohoo, we're on the fish. Well, we're on the fish. Let's get these next baits out. So I've just launched those baits out. I've got my Daiwa 7HT mag today and my usual Tronics Pro competition performance rods, 5-ounce grip lid on the end. We're good to go. So there's that little guy coming in at 22 centimetres, so a little bit bigger than the 18 centimetre one I caught the other day. Let's get him chucked back. There we go. Off he swims. So I've just put that tiny Plaice back, and it's time to get the other rod reeled in. I've also got one of my other 7HTs on this rod today, because my Banzai mono mag needs respooling and I just haven't had time to do it. It's been a bit flat out, fishing while the conditions are good and trying to keep up with other stuff at home as well. But luckily I had another reel I could just grab and bring out today with better line on it. Feels like there might be a bit of weight on this one. Hopefully a Plaice bigger than the 22 we just had. Double shot would be nice, but it doesn't feel quite heavy enough for that. Unless it's two tiny ones. Wayne's just asking me if I'm in again. I think I am. I think I got another one. We'll find out. Wayne's just saying I could fish for England. He's a funny guy. Let's see if we got anything on here. I'm hopeful because it feels heavier than the one I just reeled in. Both got 5-ounce grip lids on. Let's see, have we got anything? Have we got anything? No! No, there's nothing on here. Nothing on here. Why did it feel heavier? Something's had a munch on the rag at the top though. Let's have a look at that. Look at that. Something that's had a bite out of my ragworm. What are the lug looking like? Hard to tell. Probably nothing had a go at that. But there we go. Anyway, still one fish on 2 casts. I've been fishing for a little bit now. Not too long, just long enough to have a few casts on the Plaice rigs. And it's time to set up my third rod, which I'm just going to have a short play with. This is my Banzai Multi Tip. I've got the heaviest tip in there that it comes with, but as you can see, there is still some decent flex in that, and you get some cracking bites on this rod. It's definitely good for playing around, scratching for the smaller fish. In fact, I also use this when I'm fishing for bigger bass up the river, and it's good fun for that as well. But today we're just going to be lobbing this about 40 yards with a plain lead, at least while the tide's not ripping, just to see if we can pick something up on it. A few weeks' time I'd have a better chance, but hey, if you don't try, you don't know what's out there. That looks about right. And to go with this, I've got my Shimano Ultegra 14,000, and this time the spool is loaded with tapered line from Trabuco. I really like using this line on this rod. It casts nicely, it's nice and thin. I think the main line's about 0.23, so it doesn't catch in the tide like a 0.35 or thicker line would that I've got on my multipliers. And it just makes it really nice to fish with. So I'm going to get this set up and stick out a free hook bream rig that we'll have a look at shortly. Put the line up the eyes. Oh God, all fingers and thumbs today. Obviously need a bit more sleep. I've been burning the candle at both ends for a few weeks now, and I could do with a bit more sleep. There we go. Oh, a bit more line off. A guy a bit further down the beach is just reeling in, so I'm going to keep an eye on him while I'm tying this back on. See if he's got anything. I do like to just keep an eye on what's coming out around me. so I know what to expect. I think he must have whacked this one quite a long way. And this is primarily a distance venue for the Plaice, so that wouldn't surprise me. So there we go, got that clip back on. And this is my summer species rig. This has got some pop-ups on it, 3 hooks, size 6 at the top, and I've got a size 4 on the bottom. Just mix it up a little bit. And the snoods on this rig are 2 feet long, and they're 15-pound fluorocarbon. That's a 0.35. Just very gently get this off the rig grinder. Oh, he's just reeled in. Has he got anything? No. Get in there. It's quite a long rig, this, with those 2-foot snoods. Get that clipped on. And at the other end, I've got a 4-ounce pyramid lead. Well, there's an absolutely massive boat coming out the harbour. It's just down from where I'm fishing. I'll spin you around and you can have a look. There's only so much of me you want to look at. Let's take a look at this monstrous boat. Oops. I don't know if that's being picked up. Well, that's going to stir the bottom up. Some people say down here when these big boats come out, it stirs the bottom and gets the fish feeding a little bit. Anyway, I'll get some bait on these hooks and I'll bring you back and show you what we've got. And off it sails. So I've got this rig all baited up, ready to go. And I've loaded my hooks with little bunches of tiny ragworm. So on the bottom hook there, that's my size 4. And a load of rag, no pop-up on that. And the other 2 hooks, again, they're all 2-foot snoods. If I look at the top one here, just move that out of the way. Again, I've got a little bunch of rag and just a little pop-up above it. It's one of these oval ones that grips the line that you can slide up. Only one use go, but they work really well for this kind of fishing. So let's get these baits chucked out. Well, as maybe you can see, we've got tide. Look at the tip on that multi-tip rod. It's absolutely rammed round. That is pulling a good one. That's a good sign, because the face feed best down here when the tide is ripping. My 5-ounce grips are now going behind me down towards where Wayne's fishing. So I'm going to get one of these reeled in, and I need to move back up the beach as well because we're going to be underwater any second. So let's reel this one in, see if there's anything on here. Wow, that really has gone right down that way. I cast it over there. It's now down there. Oh, just tighten up my drag a bit. There's real pull on that. Well, there's some weight on here, I can tell you that now. Oh, my reel sounds rough. It's just a bit of sand in the handle. There's definitely some weight on this. Mind you, I said that last time I reeled in, we ended up with nothing. Right, it's just gone loose. It might be that I'm just over the sandbar that's out there. Just feel it dragging on that. So of course when it gets to this side of the sandbar, it's going to loosen off. Once I've got this reeled in, I'm going to move a few bits and bobs back, reel the other one in, and hopefully avoid getting wet feet any second. A little bit of May rot again, not as bad as it was on Saturday. Still all the lines picking up a little bit. There's my leader knot. Clean that off. Have we got a fish? No, nothing, but again, that bait on both hooks has been well and truly munched. Look at that. So there's obviously some activity out there, but we're not hooking up into them yet. So I'm going to chuck this rod back up the beach a bit, get my shelter moved, reel my other competition performance back in, and get the tripod shifted up the beach. I was just moving up my camera and all my stuff, reeling in my second rod before I shift up, and we have Plaice number 2. A bit bigger than the first one, so it's a good sign. Now, the tide is coming in pretty quick. I've got a little river behind me at the moment. I need to get this whacked out before I run out of beach. Let's get these baits flying. There we go, got him out there. So excuse the gloves in this shot. I got really dry skin fishing out last time, so when I'm unhooking fish, I'm just going to put gloves on today because I've got a really long session. And last time I was fishing, I ended up with bleeding cuts on my fingers, so trying to protect myself a little bit. There's that little Plaice I just had, coming in at 31 centimetres. Too small to eat, so let's get this one shut back. Woo! Gonna get wet again. In fact, it's gonna sit in my bucket for a bit because I can't actually get across there now to the sea. So yeah, I'm gonna have to move my tripod back again. But anyway, I'll keep him safe in the bucket. He'll go back in a minute. Well, I'll just put you on my rods for a sec. The tide is mental. It's absolutely ripping. I've just had to adjust my tripod to stop it getting pulled over by putting the back leg slightly lower and really digging the front leg in. Honestly, that is mental, that tide pull at the moment. It's absolutely racing through. Anyway, maybe that'll bring on a few fish. As I've said down here, when the tide's ripping, that's usually when most of the Plaice feed. Well, I say most of them. You usually get a nice little flurry when this is happening. So I need to get my spare rig baited up. I've still got that Plaice I just caught sitting there in a bucket of water because I can't get across to the edge of the sea. I don't want to put it back in the gully and let it get stranded later on. But yeah, it is definitely looking good. Well guys, I'm rapidly running out of beach. The water is a couple of feet away from me. I'll just angle you down so you can have a look. Hopefully you can see that there. And behind me, there is a shingle bank. So I've got about 6 inches to work with and the tide is ripping a good one. Really, I should have gone up to 6-ounce grips on my last cast, but I didn't appreciate how quick the tide pull was going to pick up from a little bit to absolutely pulling. So my lines, I've walked down the beach about 20-30 yards to the east and I'm now fishing in that direction. It is absolutely ripping down here. So I'm going to reel these in, get some fresh bait out and stick some 6-ounce grips on. Wayne next to me, he's actually stepped up to 7s and is just plopping it because it is pulling so much. But it's a good sign. We need a bit of tide, we need some fish. I'm just reeling the first one in to change the lead. And there's a bit of weight on here, but it could just be this immense tide rip we got going. Well, we'll find out soon enough. And as I said, there is that sandbank out there. But you sometimes feel that good and proper when you're dragging over it. I think when I cast this back out, I'm going to have to go up the bank behind me and cast from back there. Nice bit of may rot. Well, nice, nothing nice about may rot on the line. This is heavy, and it could be heavy with rot. Hopefully I'm not reeling my other line in. Right, I think I've got my other line here, because that has gone slack, and this is heavy. Well, interestingly, I don't have my other line, and it's gone slack. So I probably did move the lead a bit. We'll get that other one reeled in, and then I'll chuck it back out. I'll leave that one there for now because it's pretty tricky fishing with such limited space. So I'm going to get the other one in, chuck that out with a 6-ounce grip, and then get this one rebaited and send it back out. Well, my scratching rod for the summer species has just picked up place number 3, probably the tiniest of the lot. We'll get this chap sent back. I've just been reeling in. The tide has eased right off again, thankfully. And 1, 2. Wayne's just asking me if I've got any. Wayne's just had a lovely place. We got one there on the top. And if I can grab him better, there we go. Lip hooked one on the bottom. First double shot of the day, 5 Plaice so far. It's looking good. Let's get these chaps unhooked. I'll chuck them in my bucket of water with the others because I still can't get across this little bit of shingle here where we got the bit of backfill with the sea. But yeah, great. Not the biggest, but lovely to see. I'm just reeling in the multi-tip rod again, my little scratching rig, and we have another beautiful Plaice. Or is it a flounder actually? This looks like it is a flounder. There we go, species number 2, people. Look at that. I was hoping I might pick up a flounder on this rig. And there we have it. Lovely stuff. I do love catching my flatties, so it's nice to see a different species. I'll get this one hooked, chuck them in the bucket with the others, and hopefully soon, this tide's dropping out now, I'll be able to get across and pop them all back. Lovely. So there's this little guy. Not the biggest flounder in the world, but still lovely to see. I'll just give him a measure. Stick him on the box down here. What's that? 30 centimetres. So lovely little thing. Beautiful markings on this one. I'll get him in the bucket of water. Now the tide's starting to ebb and it's stopped ripping. I'm going back to fishing 2 of my Plaice rods. I did step down to 1 for a bit. I've still got my scratching rod out there, which I've just chucked out again after landing that flounder. But there we go, there's the loop rig ready to go. This is one of my 18-inch loop rigs, and that's got the two bits of black lug. There's actually half a lug on each hook there. So most of the Plaice I've had this morning have come on the lug. I had 1 on the rag, and that flounder was on the rag as well. So we keep looking at how the baits are working, how the rigs are working. But so far, so good. Another one to get chucked out. So let's get these baits back in the water. A little bit hampered here. Apologies, the camera's not very level. I'll sort that out in a minute. Not my best cast ever, but very cramped conditions here at the minute. I'm looking forward to when the tide drops down enough for me to get back across the other side of the little river I've got in front of me. But my baits are in the water and we're fishing, and that's what matters. So finally, I've managed to get over the bank, and we're going to put back our bucket of fish. Cool. Hope there's about 5 or 6 in here, 5 I think. Let's get them all put back in the water. I'll angle you down and you'll be able to see them all swim off. So here we go. Look at this tiny little one. Cute little baby, ready to go back. Whoa! Came in a bit closer than I thought, that wave. Luckily I've got boots on. Let's see. Next one. Off it goes. Come on, fish. Let me get hold of you. Next one. And lastly, the flounder. Let's get him sent on his way. So there we have it. Fish is chucked back. Oh, there's one there, might need a bit more help. The little one's having trouble. It's the right way up and off it's swimming. Excellent. Good to see him all go back. It's time to reel in, see if we've got any more fish. Now the tide is absolutely ripping the other way now. Going from right to left. Let's see if there's any fish on here. Well, there's certainly some weight, but with this tide pool, who knows? And that little bank out there. Christ, excuse my language. Got to tighten that drag up. I'm thinking I should have brought my Fathom 15s with me. There is definitely some weight on this. Let's hope it's a fish and it isn't just the lead dragging through the ground. This venue can throw up some bigger fish. It's been a target of mine for quite a few years to land a 50 centimetre plaice. Now it would be amazing if that was on here. I don't think I have a 50. But there were some 40s coming out on my last session down here. Wayne's already had one nice one out in amongst the samp of smaller fish that we're getting today. But there's definitely a bit of weight on here. I'm very hopeful this is actually a fish this time, because it is still heavy and we're not that far out now. A bit of rot on the line again. What have we got on the end? Yep, we have a fish. How many fish? 2 fish. Another double shot. Let's take a look at these two. Well, we've got a small one on the top. So very much of the smaller end of the scale that we've been getting out. And a slightly better one. Getting around the right way. Slightly better one on the bottom. So there we have it. Another double shot. Fairly small fish. But that's what are we up to now? 8 fish, 7 plaice, 1 flounder. Let's get these guys in that water, get another rig out. But it's looking good. Well, it's not been the most relaxing morning. What's happened? Well, my jet boil decided to start smelling like it was burning. So I haven't had a cup of tea yet. And I do miss my cup of tea. I'm hoping Wayne's just popped off to get some lunch. I'm hoping when he gets back, I can boil up some water on his jet boil, get my caffeine fix. But it's going well as far as the fishing's concerned. 8 fish so far. I've just moved back down over where that little, well, the river was between me and the sea. So the tide's dropping out nicely. And I'm back on nice fishing ground. Well, nice casting ground where the shingle's a bit more level. And I don't even keep having to walk up the shingle bank that's up there behind me. So anyway, it's looking up. I'm back happy sitting on a flat surface, 2 fish to unhook, and we'll get cracking on. Well, I'm just reeling in the multi-tip rod, and it feels like there might be a bit of weight on here. So let's find out if we've got a fish. Wayne has just been an absolute star, and he's brought me some lunch back after hearing of my jet boil failure. It definitely feels like there's something on this one. Apart from May rot, which is sticking in my top eye. Yeah, I'll just change the angle of the camera a little bit so you can see as it comes through the water. Let's have a look. Is there anything on here? Oh, I've got Wayne. Oh, that's what you call a Wayne fish. Well, as you can maybe see, my shelter is no longer upright. Earlier on this morning, one of the bolts came out because I guess my fault really for not checking it regularly enough. Oh, I've got a bit of slack line. I taped it together. The tape has now failed. I'm going to reel in, cast back out, and then have a good go at trying to tape it back together a little bit better. Thankfully, I've got some spare bolts at home. So there's a few seagulls flying around as well. Just watching my lines. Got some bolts at home, so I'll be able to repair it when I get back there. But for today, we just need to try and get it bodged back up and put back together. Anyway, time to see if we've got some more fish. So I'm reeling in my left-hand rod, the one where the line's gone a bit slack. Be nice if there was a fish on here. Oops, the eyes are a bit out of line. There we go. Wind in to get this grip lead out. Let's see if there's any weight on here. Yep, there's definitely some weight on this. A globby May rot. It's collecting in my top eye. We're right by the edge now. Have we got anything? Nope, but what's gone on here? Oh, failure to launch. Look at that. It didn't come unclipped and those hooks have been absolutely stripped. That's not a good sign. Now what I haven't mentioned yet, or I don't think I have, is on my scratching rod, the multi tip, I've actually had 2 hooks snipped off that by those pesky spider crabs. So they're here. They weren't here on Saturday, which was, well, what was that, 3 or 4 days ago when I was down here. So they've moved in. That's not a good sign, but we're still catching fish. Wayne's had another one out just now, and we just got to keep trying. I've got some more juicy baits to go out. There's a lug on the bottom hook, lovely beautiful fresh lug, and 2 rag on the top, all clipped down. This is on the 18-inch loop rig, ready to go. So we get these guys chucked out. And before I do, I'm going to walk 20 yards up the beach because the tide is now running that way. So we're ready to chuck these ones back out. Check the drop, a little bit longer. Oh, Wayne's just reeling in. The guy further down that way's just pulled in another place, so they're still here. What's the guy down the beach got? Oh, I think he's just washing out his call bag. I thought that was a nice place coming out down there for a second then. Right. Baits are back out. We're going for a bit of DIY on the beach. I always bring electrical tape with me. So I've taped the screw. So I'm not going to lose that, even though I've lost the nut. And now we're going to try and tape it all back together. Let's see if I can do it. Whew, this is going to be a mission. Right. Probably get the last couple of bits out of the way first. Well, the shelter is back. That was fiddly, really fiddly. I don't know how long it's going to last, but my trusty black tape, I don't even know where I put it, my trusty black tape has done the trick. So always worth bringing electrical tape when I'm fishing. To be fair, I don't tend to bring it for fixing my shelter. I usually bring it for when I get splits in my fingers to help keep them in better shape. But anyway, we're happy. We're out the wind again. I'm going to stick some lug on my next rig, ready to go out. Lug on the bottom hook, and I'm going to go with rag on the top because I've got a lot of rag today. Let's get this on the bait needle. Beautiful worms these are. So where was I? I was just talking about baiting up and the battery in the camera died. I've got a lugworm, a beautiful fat lugworm, which I'm going to put on my bottom hook. Let's get this slid on. And we're going to go for rag on the top hook. I'm going to stick a big bunch of rag on it because I've got a lot of rag to get through. Move that stop knot up for the bait clip so I can get that worm nice and straight. There we go. Now we get a couple of these beautiful rag. I might even go for 3 actually. Slide them up the baiting needle. Just move my cup out of the way. I don't want bits of rag going in there. Slide them up. There we go. 2 beautiful ragworm. Slide these onto the hook. I'm definitely going to need to move my bait stop up here. There we go, plenty of space. Hold that nice and tight. Oops. Get that over the eye of the hook. Next one. The tail broke off there. Move that bait stop down. Hold them nicely in place. And there we go. Good to go. We've got the shelter back. We've got a rig baited up. And the Plaice are on the feed. What more could we ask for? Well, a cup of tea would be nice. I'll go and borrow Wayne's jet boil in a second. Get a brew on. Well guys, time to reel another one in. Wish me luck. Tide's dropped right down now. Still got a long old way to go though before low tide. It's a much bigger tide today than last time I was fishing down it. Have we got a fish? There's only one way to find out, and that is to reel it in. God, sometimes it can take a bit of getting these grips out of the ground. I'm a bit worried about crabs being out there, given I've had stripped hooks, 2 hooks snipped off, and that could also explain partly if it's feeling heavy at the beginning then going light nearer the edge. Crabs can do that. Still globby rot appearing on the line here. My line is looking like it's been slimed, which it has been by May rot. Have we got a fish though? That is the question. Yes, we do. I'll just walk down so I don't drag it up the shingle. There we go. Fish number 9. This one, you can see I've got the pop-ups there. That's on the rag on the top hook. Good stuff. Next up, my usual, going out, the lug and the rag with my lovely trusty Daiwa 7HT competition performance. Let's get these baits whacked out. Oh, drops a tiny bit too long. It's better. I've still got a 6 ounce lead on this from earlier when that tide was really ripping. I probably should have gone back down to a 5 really. Suits these rods and my casting much better. For now, I'll just get this one whacked out. Just going to tighten my grips up, tighten my mags up a tiny bit. One click on there. The baits are launched into the sea for Plaice's tea. I've got a bit of slack line on the right hand rod. It's time to look, see if there's anything on here. I'm guessing the slack line there might just be because the tide pull has eased off. So whereas the tide rip would have been keeping it nice and tight earlier, it's just slackened off. Let's try and get this lead out. Now we're up to 9 on the fish count. Wayne has had 7, but he's definitely had the better fish. But it's not a competition. We're just 2 mates out having a fish, seeing how we get on. Yep, we got another one, so I'm just going to walk down so I don't drag it up the beach, and we'll take a look at it in a sec. I think it's the smallest one yet. Oh my. I think this is the smallest one yet. Look at that. Perfection in miniature. Thankfully it's lip hooked and not deep hooked. Let's get this unhooked. I'm just going to go and measure this one. Oh, I don't want to drop that and get the hook in my finger. I think that one deserves a measure to go for the record of the smallest fish. So let's go over to the box, take a look at just how small it is. So here we go. Let's get this fish measured. Wow. Just over 19 centimetres. So actually it's a bit bigger than the smallest one I had a few days ago down here, which came in at a handsome 18. So yeah, not all the biggest fish, but look at that, isn't it cute? I'll get a chub back. So I just chucked back that cute little 19 centimetre Plaice. I haven't cast that other rod back out. I'm going to take a little bit of a rest from 2 rods and just fish one for a bit. And see how we get on. See if we've got another one on here, shall we? Let's wind down into it. So the one I just unhooked was on the rag. The lug's got the slight edge today, but both baits have been picking up well. I haven't actually tried the mussels or the razor that I brought down with me. I haven't felt the need because the fishing's been all right. But anyway, we'll see what we got on this one. Given that the last little fish was tiny as, and it felt like there was some weight, I'm pretty sure There's going to be nothing on this. And once I reeled this one, I'll get this one whacked back out. Not too distant future, my wife's going to be arriving down here with some chips and sausages from the chippy. And we're going to have a little bit of a break, well I am anyway, while I enjoy some dinner and another cup of tea. It's definitely gone heavy now it's near the edge, which is a good sign. Let's see, let's keep watching. Maybe we have a fish. Oh yes, we've got another one. Just bear with me, I'll walk down, bring it back up. There we have it. Fish number 11. Again, has that lip hooked? No, I'm going to have to get the forceps on that, use the through the gills method. But there we go, a bit bigger than the one I just chucked back, and it's another fish. Well guys, it's been another good day on the Plaice. Not quite as hectic as a few days ago, but I've managed to land 11 fish, 10 Plaice and a single flounder. Wayne has had, I think it's 9 now. We're still going to do a little bit more fishing, but I'm just recording the outro because I'm really easing off on my efforts, because we're going to be back down here first thing tomorrow morning, giving it another go, fishing from low up to high. Whereas today we fished for about maybe 3 hours before high, and it's now coming up to low tide in the evening. So we're switching it out a bit. Hopefully tomorrow morning around just after first light, we're probably going to get back to the beach depending on how we feel. And that'll go up as a follow-up video to this session. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. And if you have, please consider clicking the like and subscribing to the channel. Remember guys, subscribing is free. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps me out. Thanks for watching.